Hello everybody, this is Earl White with House Heroes, South Florida super home buyers. As always, you can find us at househeroes.com. Give us a call 954-676-1846. We are here today to talk about what I'm calling the 3 golden rules of fast home sales. The 3 rules that will get your house sold in 14 days or less. Now first, like I said, let's define what we mean by fast, because fast can mean different things to different people. For a realtor, fast might be 2 to 3 months to close. I know when House Heroes fixes up our properties, if a realtor can get the final end sale done 2 months, it's probably 6% commission well spent. If you're looking to sell in 14 days or less, that's something you'll probably need a cash investor for, like House Heroes. And that's what I'm talking about when I say fast in this video. What needs to happen for you to sell in 14 days or less? So first, there has to be a walkthrough. And typically a cash investor like House Heroes, we can walk through the property. We're down in the local South Florida market. As long as the property's local, we can get in there, walk through in 24 or 48 hours, essentially as soon as the seller will make the property available. Now, sometimes there may be delays if the seller wants to be present, the seller lives out of state, that can delay it. But generally, the investor or House Heroes is ready to see it that day or the next day. There also has to be a lien and title search. Those can happen if the city will expedite it. Those can happen 24 to 48 hours. If the city will not expedite it, then you're talking about 8 to 10 days, sometimes longer depending on what's going on at the city. But that's really, the lien and title search are out of the control of the seller and the buyer in most situations. Arrange for cash to be delivered to your bank account. That's not a problem for a cash investor that actually has the cash. It can be arranged in less than 24 hours and then close. So that's the process if you're going to sell your house in 14 days or less. Golden rule number 1. You have to set the right price if you want your house to sell in 14 days. And as you see here, I have Bob Barker, who was the host for The Price is Right many years ago, and I'm sure this brings back fond memories for everyone over the age of 30, and anyone under probably has no idea what I'm talking about. According to Zillow's March 2017 research in the Miami and Fort Lauderdale region, the average age of home inventory in South Florida is 86 days. So the average house you see, online has been sitting around for 86 days. The average time for a house that you see to sell is 106 days. If you're looking to sell in 14 days or less, you are not going to beat the average of 106 days and get the same price. You're going to have to accept a lower price if you're going to sell in 14 days or less. And just think about who the buyer is as well. If you're going to sell in 14 days or less, you're probably going to have to sell to someone that has the team in place. They have cash in the bank. They have a GC or an inspector on tap ready to go. They're going to get in there and close in 14 days. That's probably going to be a professional home buyer. Who is an investor, and an investor by definition is going to be seeking to profit. So they're not going to be able to overpay for your property or pay what you might see that a house is sold for that took 4 months to sell. And even if you're not going to sell directly to an investor, say you want to take the house to the MLS, even still, pricing high is going to be a risk for you, mainly because whenever you list a home on the MLS, the first 7 days is going to be the critical period, because that's the period when all the buyers, all the agents are looking at your house. If you price high at that point, people are going to ignore it. And the attention is not going to come back. They're going to get a new Redfin email, a new instant update about the next property that came on the market. And really, you've lost your opportunity by overpricing there. And the house if you price high, delay your sale, it just starts to look like damaged goods. There must be some reason that this house didn't sell. And people look at it that way, and it's going to cost you. So at the end of the day, if you want to sell in 14 days or less, either to an investor or very fast on the MLS, you're going to have to reduce the price. Golden rule number 2, get cash offers. And when we're talking about cash offers, what we're really contrasting it with is mortgages. Now, Ellie Mae's March 2017 origination report on mortgages reported that the average time from application to closing of a mortgage is 43 days for conventional, 44 days for FHA, 46 days for a VA mortgage. So that when you're talking about a 40+ day process to get financing arranged, that's not going to help you sell in 14 days or less. And really, the nightmare scenario, it's not so much the 40 days. Perhaps the seller can stomach that. What can happen is the bank does not underwrite the mortgage at the last minute due to a change in circumstances. For example, there can be a change in employment. Perhaps the buyer is let go from his job and he no longer has a six-figure income, and the company, the bank, isn't going to underwrite that mortgage anymore because he can't afford to pay it. There could be a negative credit event where the buyer ends up, I guess the classic example would be enters bankruptcy. Uh, and at that point, probably the mortgage will get pulled. There can also be a low appraisal. Perhaps everybody thinks the house is worth $150,000, and it turns out that something happens at the home and the home is no longer worth $150,000, it's only worth $100,000. The bank very likely is going to not grant the mortgage in that situation. And what really fixes this problem is getting a cash offer. And as I wrote here, cash is king when it comes to selling your house in 14 days or less. There are no strings attached with cash. There's no institutional approval necessary. The only approval necessary is the person who has the cash in the bank. And so for House Heroes, we have the cash in the bank. It's just going to take us to decide whether or not we want to put it forward to invest in this property. And the other issue why cash is really important for selling fast is think about the people that want to sell fast. Most likely, if you're looking to get rid of a property quickly, there's probably a problem. Maybe it's a roof, maybe there's a foundational problem, maybe the entire house needs to be renovated. In situations like that, where there's a major problem with the house, usually banks are not going to issue a conventional mortgage on a property that may be uninhabitable or have a health or danger risk because of the condition. But cash can finance those purchases, and no matter what the condition is, the cash offer can get you to closing in 14 days. Now, the next rule, is golden rule number 3: sell as is. Put down your hammer. If you Google "sell your house fast," which I did in preparation for this video, you're going to see a lot, at least what I consider to be misleading results in terms of getting up any property sold fast. It'll talk about articles talk about doing renovations, doing upgrades, doing repairs, trying to increase your curb appeal with painting, landscaping, finding the right real estate agent. Does any of that sound fast to you? Because it sounds to me like when we do those as a business, when we renovate, when we try to increase curb appeal, when we are looking for the real estate agent, this takes us, 4, 8, 12 weeks. This is not something that happens quickly. So the fastest way to sell is to sell as is. Now, as is does not mean that the property is not inspected. A lot of times we'll tell prospective clients that we'll buy your house as is, and there's a perception that means we don't have to look inside. That's not what that means. As is means the seller does no work and the buyer handles all the repairs. Now, in exchange for selling as is, there is always going to be a premium price, a lower price they have to pay. Someone has to repair the property. Someone has to put energy and time into repairing the property. And so you're going to have to take a lower price if you're going to be selling a property that needs a lot of work than a number you might see on the MLS in that neighborhood. And there is also considerable risks. So say you don't want to sell as is, you want to go take on the repairs on your own. There's not necessarily a problem with that if you can do it well. But first, again, think of your buyer. If you're trying to sell quickly, 14 days, maybe a little longer than that, most likely you're going to be, again, looking at a person capable of buying in 14 days who is an investor. An investor doesn't care about what color you paint the walls. They do not care, if there's a spot in the lawn needs to be patched, particularly if the investor is buying it as a rental. The finishings probably be destroyed anyway. So if you're going to try to sell in 14 days, putting in $10,000 worth of quick repairs is not going to get you any better price from an investor. The next issue is if you're trying to sell fast, what's your schedule like? Do you work all the time? Because if you do, you're probably not going to be able to manage a renovation of any level. And even if it's a minor renovation, are you going to be able to be present for the contractors coming to home? You're going to find the contractor. There's going to be a lot of delays if you are too busy to be at this house on a regular basis. And a big thing that people underestimate is do you have any experience in repairing a home? Now, if it's just painting a wall, you don't need an investor for that. But if you are doing, substantial updates and you don't have experience in doing that before, the worst thing that can happen is you get a bad result. If you get a bad result, you could have spent thousands of dollars for some repairs that really don't add much value, and sometimes you may even have to redo the repairs if the contractor does a bad job. And so that's a risk if you're going to repair on your own, particularly if you're inexperienced. And another problem with doing the repairs on your own is if it's an owner-occupied property. If it's an owner-occupied property and you're doing renovations over the course of time, by the time you get to the end of your renovations, the beginning parts of it are going to be lived in because you've been living there. If you look at how House Heroes or another investor fixes up a property and it sells it, if you look at the pictures, they're beautiful. The entire house is spotless and completely renovated. That is how you maximize resale value. You don't maximize resale value by doing piece by piece by piece and living in the pieces. So by the time you get to the end, the beginning renovations no longer look fresh. So in summary, the only things that really matter if you're looking to sell your house in 14 days or less is to set the price right, get cash offers, and sell as is. So thank you for watching this video. I hope I've laid out the process of how you can sell your house in 14 days or less. As always, with House Heroes LLC, South Florida super home buyers, we do buy houses across Tri-County in Florida, and any house, any situation, no fees guaranteed. As said here on our banner, you can find us at househeroes.com, 954-676-1846. Thank you.